Hi, everyone. This is Erinn Morgan. I am the editorial director of Eyecare Business Magazine and Contact Lens Spectrum. And I am thrilled to be here today in Washington, D.C. for Optometry's meeting. This is the kickoff night, and I am even more thrilled to be here with Dr. Ron Benner, who is the president of the AOA. You are from Montana. Welcome, and thank you for joining us for a little bit of background on what's going to be happening at the meeting here this weekend.
Happy to help you here tonight. So.
Thank you. And you have a private practice in Montana as well?
Yes, I do. I have a solo practice in Laurel, Montana. I've been there for 35, 36 years now. And the practice was, it's roughly about 75 years old. So.
That's amazing. And what was the town?
In Laurel.
In Laurel, Montana. Is that near Billings?
It's close to Billings, a little town about 6,500.
Wow, I like that. We're both people from the West, so we have that in common. So could you, Dr. Benner, could you please just tell us and our audience a little bit about kind of what are some of the key highlights that'll be happening in terms of events here at Optometry's meeting? I know downstairs they're rocking out at the opening reception. I can feel the music on the floor down here below us.
Yeah, they're having fun down there. So this whole meeting is actually a highlight. This is a highlight of the profession and a highlight of our years from AOA. We have so many things happening. We have 5,000 plus doctors here. We have 2,400 students, all coming together to celebrate what optometry is and to learn how to advocate and learn how to be, for us to teach the students how to be a better advocate for the profession moving forward. You know, a lot of things have happened today. We had the rally, an opening rally, where we got the students fired up and talking about what we do in Washington, D.C. We just had a moving opening session with a very energetic speaker who talked about how to create change. And that's a lot of what AOA does, is creating change. That was great. And now we've moved everybody downstairs to the big reception where there's food and beverages and everybody's mixing and mingling. And that's a lot of what this meeting is about. It's about being able to network, especially with our future doctors, our students, and our older members. You know, it's about being able to share that information and knowledge and get to know each other. We're a small profession, and we have to know each other to succeed. Besides the rally and the opening session, we have a lot of things going on. We just announced a bold new move that AOA is doing. We are calling for a summit, basically from anyone who's involved with children, and bringing these individual groups together. Healthcare providers, educators, parents, teachers, other associations, to talk about a necessary gap that's been missing right now. The pandemic basically showed us that we pushed everybody to Zoom. And with moving all of our children to Zoom, we find that they're spending a lot more time on screens. At school, they're spending time on screens. But there's still, with the pandemic, we found that there's a gap in care that seems to be widening. Some of these children aren't getting care. Even the ones in school that are getting diagnosed through the screenings, we found 61% of those aren't getting the necessary care.
Wow.
So we want to bring all the professions together, all the advocates for children together, to have a national discussion. How do we secure the best for our young people in their eye health and their future moving forward? So that was announced tonight too. It's a big summit that we're going to be planning over the next couple of years, getting all these groups together.
Great.
Tomorrow, we start our House of Delegates. And the House of Delegates is often seen as a business meeting for optometry. Well, it is our business meeting, but it's more than that.
Right.
Because we also have industry. We also have our students there. We have our awards ceremony. So we're actually celebrating the profession and the achievements in the profession and making plans for what's coming down the road. How do we integrate what we see is needed down the road with how do we help the doctors and industry succeed? Because we want to elevate the entire profession and basically make sure that we're taken care of for the next year. After that, we have our exhibit hall. We have a new innovative exhibit hall this year called Eyecare Square. So Eyecare Square is where you can go in, you can find new innovations, new technology. There's education portions within there, 20-minute eye care talks, so that doctors can come in, they can bring their staffs and their paras in, so we can all learn together about how to succeed, how to grow our practices, and how to take better care of our patients moving forward.
That's great.
Finally, Saturday,
there's a lot going on.
Friday evening, we have the celebration of optometry. And the celebration is we're inviting all the students, all the doctors to come out and actually celebrate the profession. Not just the achievements, but the profession as a whole, saying, here we are. Let's recognize us for what we're doing and recognize everybody in the profession, because we're all taking care of our communities. We're taking care of the moms and dads and the children at home. So we want to make sure that we recognize the profession and those that provide for it.
For sure. Wow. That's really impressive and really exciting to hear about all of those initiatives. The kids initiative, the children's initiative is really wonderful to hear about. I mean, it is so needed.
It's needed. It's needed
so
right now.
needed. So that kind of leads me, I was going to ask you next about education here and continuing education. Is, and with that, I imagine there's a myopia focus with the children's initiative.
Absolutely.
In terms of education here, are there any specific tracks, kind of highlights for
Sure.
education we could share?
From an overall perspective, our education, we redesigned a few years ago. We want to be innovative. We want to have new education programs. But it's really an education program designed for all eye care providers, our techs, our paras. We're looking forward. And being future-based, we know that our docs need to have well-trained staff, and they need to have the paras trained at the highest level. So besides the TED Talks, we have an interesting program coming on that we just started this year, which will be a surgical assistant program. For doctors in the States that have those advanced scope and advanced procedures, we want to make sure their staff are fully trained and they have access to that training so that we can help elevate them and continue to elevate the profession. Education goes from everything from contact lenses to infancy to pediatrics exam to myopia control to the newest and the latest and the greatest in terms of innovation with pharmacology drugs, with technology. So we try to cover the gamut for all modes of practice, all doctors at all age levels, and their staff.
So imagine there's quite a bit of education happening.
Yes, there is.
Yes, so and the meeting it kicks off tonight, Wednesday night.
Correct.
And then it runs Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yes, and we end Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
So Saturday afternoon.
That's great.
So it's a big 3-day meeting. It's a very pressured boom, boom, boom. We have one thing right after another. But in today's world, doctors need that education. But they also need time in the exhibit hall. And they need time to network and to mingle. So we've tried to build that together so that this meeting becomes more than just an education meeting, more than just a business meeting, but a meeting that people can come and explore the profession. And especially with 2,400 students here. Those students need to learn what it's like to be an optometrist, what it's like to be in an advocating profession like we have.
Right, and all that networking would kind of be some mentoring for them, to kind of understand what that is.
AOA is known for its advocacy, and that's at the core of everything that we do, not just for the profession, but for our docs and for our patients. And we want the students to see that process in action so that they can learn from those who come ahead.
Definitely.
And honestly, for our older docs to be re-inspired by those young docs that are so enthusiastic to come into the profession.
And that is inspiring,
Absolutely.
Right? That energy and that newness to the
Absolutely.
profession. So is there anything that you're personally most excited about that's happening over the next couple of days, or just kind of in general?
So having been to all these meetings for a number of years, this is a little more on the personal level, but it's reconnecting. It's connecting and making new connections with the students and the new docs that are coming in from the different states, but also reconnecting with old friends and colleagues and rebuilding those bonds and that networking. The process of basically saying, how's life going? Getting to know the person, but also finding out what they're doing in their practices, in their states. So the highlight for me is those connections and really getting to work with them.
And it's such a time now where we're kind of out and open and traveling and doing our thing, and it's wonderful to be back.
COVID shut us down. And the one thing we found when we opened meetings back up, people came back in droves. People were looking for that connection, that interpersonal connection is so meaningful. And that's the point of our career. We make those interpersonal connections with our patients all the time. So our docs are very good at it, but they need to make those connections with other docs too. So that's what we've tried to center this on.
That's great. Well, that leads me to my last question. So with your broad overview of the profession and years of, kind of being involved with the AOA and the profession, what would you say right now, and looking to the future, kind of what are the biggest challenges and what are the biggest opportunities for the profession right now?
So the advancements we've made in scope of practice and in elevating and recognition of the profession have been huge over the next 10 years. But we have challenges ahead of us every day, even though we advance and we go a step forward, somebody comes and tries to chip away.
Sure.
We just had the I'm not a doctor bills in Florida and several other
Right.
states. And our docs are very good about saying, let's get organized, let's go and say, that's not us. We know who we are,
Definitely.
we know what our value is, and we are doctors, we are physicians, we are essential eye and healthcare providers. For the country, 80% of the country is optometrists. So that's a challenge. It's a constant challenge because we never know where the next chip away is going to come from. The other things that we have to deal with, and our doctors are challenged by this across the country, are the devalued care that some of our vision plans have pushed forward. And that stagnant payment system is challenging in today's world of economics, where we have inflation, we have staff burdens and staff challenging getting their staffs in. Our doctors really have some struggles in their offices. So that's something that AOA is taking on head on. We're having direct dialogues with the big vision plans and their hierarchy CEOs, talking about this is what our doctors are experiencing. This is what you need to know. How do we continue to provide that high value care when it's so hard to get reimbursed for that care? It's so hard to keep our staffs. It's a challenge. It's a challenge every day.
Definitely.
But our doctors have done a great job. They continue to take care of the patients. They continue to provide high quality care. We just need to get them paid. We need to get them paid fairly.
For sure. Yes, well, that's great input and feedback, and certainly lots of discussion around that. I'm sure will happen these next couple of days.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. This was fantastic. I really appreciate it. I am so excited about tomorrow, getting here in the morning. It's late now in the evening here. I'm glad I'm on Mountain Time.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for allowing me this time to chat with you. And do enjoy Optometry's
It's our
meeting.
honor. Yeah.
This is our AOSA and our AOA, our annual meeting, and we have lots of people here to intermix with and to mingle with and to learn from. So I hope you take the time to do that.
I definitely will. Well, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time here tonight, and looking forward to the next couple of days of Optometry's meeting here in Washington, D.C. Stay tuned. We'll have lots more coming on our social channels from the meeting here.
Thank you.
Thank you.